Welcome back, everybody. And today our book to biz is going to be spin selling, the best validated sales method available today. In our lives, we all have sales situations, whether it's selling a client, selling a spouse, maybe on an idea, or selling your kids on an idea. Lots of places where we can put our sales skills to work. But this generally came up because people were having, just a little bit of background, because people were having difficulties following traditional sales techniques. And that's why they went out and they started doing all of these studies. And he talks in the book about the difficulty of doing the studies, following salespeople around and finding out what was different between the people who were successful in sales and the people who weren't, and the types of sales that they were doing. Just giving you a little bit of background, the types of sales that they were doing. And it was totally different selling little tiny widgets as opposed to people who are having to make bigger decisions and things that are going to cost them a lot of money, that there's a different way to go about selling those types of services or situations. I found the book really fascinating. I listened to it on Audible, and I would suggest you guys could probably get a lot out of it. Today's just a little peek, of course. Our resources, I think everybody here already has experimented out here with ChatGPT or in a similar AI program. And of course, downloading a file from the chat window. I believe at about this point, Rachel and or Laura are putting the slides in. And again, welcome to Rachel and Laura because they're keeping things running along nicely in the background here. So go ahead and download the slides if you'd like. And then let's wait on doing anything with the prompt because we're going to do things a little differently today. So our normal background, why we're getting together, is AI is happening now. And you know what? As you get out, particularly in ChatGPT, we've got new reasoning models that just came out in the last couple of weeks, new features that came out in the last couple of weeks. And Laura, if you'll remind me when we get over the tips that we should talk about the concepts of what looks like a really cool thing, but may not be a cool thing in terms of what you can do. So we'll talk about that when we get there. And then just in passing, did everybody get all the notices last week about the, 35 billion hacks into passwords and stuff?
Yes, and I
It's
continue
real.
to see articles in the news feeds about that. It's something to be wary of and take care of.
I don't know if that was a topic of discussion at Scaling New Heights, but it certainly should have been because
You said no.
we went out and started changing all of our major passwords immediately. And for me, I still have to take care of some of the underlying old minor ones that don't have a lot of risk around them. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the
there's a
only thing that was
Forbes
discussed
article.
was to make sure that if you have a password manager is to make sure that you have a good password there and that you have MFA. That was the big thing was the MFA. So that even if your password got hacked, they still couldn't get in.
There are, in many cases, I use a lot of different software programs, and not all of them are set up for we call it 2FA. But yeah, if you just go out and search, you'll find, we saw it, Lori pointed it out initially in the Forbes article. So some scary stuff on that side. So get those passwords changed. Yeah, we changed all bank accounts. We changed Windows, the Microsoft stuff. All of those big umbrella passwords that you have should all be something done. Hate to distract you guys, but that has come up recently. All of our usual reasons for wanting to get into AI. I'm not going to read through those for you guys because it's going to be in the slides. Of course, we're recording, and the recording's available in 5 to 7 business days. I lagged behind, you guys know that, but it's okay. We'll get things out to you sooner or later. And Laura actually had a vacation. We'll give her a little bit of grace.
I'm catching
The
up for you
editing
guys.
done, and yeah, and then once she lets me know, I'll let you guys know.
I just
So
want to
we're
say that the Tuesday session that I was involved in and Laura missed, which I'm very sad, but Rachel and Lori did a great job of filling in.
Thank you.
and I so appreciate everybody who's being involved with this. Ultimately, we'll close the doors to the workshop maybe 10, 12 minutes once we put the prompt out there for you. And of course, watch the concept of confidential information. And we're probably not going to do breakout sessions today. We'll probably just stay together in a group. And I don't think today that I'm going to review how I got involved in AI. You guys have heard that story a few times. Again, just extra training options available for you if you would like to get in touch with that. Today's objective is that we're going to be talking about the sales side. I don't know about you, but there have been times I've had conversations with somebody and they seem like they're just really interested and then they wander away. And you just go, I've invested 2 or 3 hours talking to this person and then they're ghosting me. That's probably never happened to any of you guys, but it has happened to me. Okay, and so then sometimes you go, what are the right questions that I should ask to move people along to help them make a decision? And that's really what you're doing in a sales circumstance. And some of the training I had said, yes is okay, no is okay, I'll think about it isn't so good because that's a polite way of them saying no. Are there things that we can ask to help people move along to make that decision? And then how do we close it? We get to the point where it looks like everything's coming together, but how do you get people to sign on the dotted line, so to speak, or on the DocuSign, is the case maybe? And yeah, how do we finalize what we want to do with them and for them and get everybody on board so we're all moving in the same direction. So that's what we're going to be working with today. And so now you can go ahead and download a copy of today's prompt into your ChatGPT. And what we're going to do is something a little different today. So instead of ignore this stuff, what we're going to do is so that we can all share in this together in one of these. Now you can run the prompt on your own if you want. It's yours. You can do what you want, but we thought we would share the screen and have Lori pull the prompt up, and then maybe she's going to have, let me move down here. Then maybe she's going to ask somebody else to help fill in some of the information. And we'll all see together how everything pops up on the screen. Is that okay with you guys to make that kind of a change today?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
It's great.
Cool. All right. So, Lori, I'm going to have you take the screen, and why don't you go ahead and pull the prompt up, and then you can decide, are you going to fill stuff in or ask other people to fill stuff in?
Right. Hi, everybody. I do work pretty closely with Diane, so not quite my first rodeo with ChatGPT, but you will see up here on my screen, and I hope you guys are seeing my screen, that I have the prompt open in a notepad over on the side, and I've highlighted the entire prompt. I have my ChatGPT window open, and I am using 4.0 for running this prompt. And I've asked ChatGPT before I paste this prompt in, I've asked ChatGPT for this chat, do not remember anything about me previously stored in ChatGPT. This is a great way to get a clean, fresh view from ChatGPT or to allow you to work with a particular client. If you're a consulting person and you're going to run this prompt for one of your clients, it gives you a way to start fresh. So the first thing is we copy the entire GPT that Diane has provided. And we're going to go ahead and paste that into ChatGPT. And I'm going to tell it to run. And we're going to work together on this today. This is fun for me. So it's going to ask us to identify the type of company, our role, and the size of company. So can I get a volunteer from the audience to give me some ideas of what they'd like us to put in? Go ahead, Ola. Hi.
Okay. Yeah. So for the type of company, why don't we go for, let's say, plumbing services or residential cleaning?
Plumbing services? Is that what you said?
Or
Plumbing services? Residential cleaning. Okay.
the type of company or the service? Or is that not okay?
We can
Or
do that.
is it not gonna work?
It'll work.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
And then what's my
Yeah,
role? I'm pretending to be someone. What am I pretending to be? Am I pretending to be the owner, a marketing person? A salesman?
Let's go with salesman. I think so.
Okay. And the size of the company. How many employees do I have?
Let's go with 20, 20,
Okay.
20.
So you can see that this prompt is walking us through and asking us the questions. And now it's giving us the response.
And I'll jump in here because the prompt said, give me about 500 words that condense information out of spin selling. So it's giving you that overview. And so if you guys can speed read or skim through and see what some of the key ideas are, that was what the prompt asked it to look at the book and then give us some ideas.
And you could kind of let me know when you guys are ready for me to roll down.
Okay.
I got an okay there. And I will send you guys a copy of this via our chat in the Zoom meeting so that you can open the link and be able to see the responses that we got as our sample company.
So I think I'm going to jump in here and say, here's the beauty of AI. When Lori put in what Ola said, this particular type of company, it goes out and says, what are the kinds of problems that this particular kind of company might have? Okay, so if you were doing this with a client, that's going to give you some insights about that client.
Right.
So it's just customizing itself to you being the person who's filling this out.
And then the prompt is going into some coaching questions. So now we're going to brainstorm just a little bit. What is a frustrating problem you've recently had to respond to more than once in your role? So thinking about being a residential cleaning or a service company, like a plumbing company, what's a frustrating problem you've had to respond to? I can speak from my experience in being in a service company, and that is customers with last minute cancellations or no-shows. Does that seem like a topic we might want to address?
Yeah, actually, that's actually that's best action.
So I put in here last minute cancellations or no-shows and how to reach back out to the client to reschedule. What do you think are the most common causes behind the issue? This is really a great topic.
I think people don't put an event on a calendar or have a reminder to tell them that something is coming up, because if they've scheduled something a week ago, 2 weeks ago, they might not remember that it's there or have a reminder.
That's a great one.
Their appointment time window is from 8 till 4. I'm waiting for a repairman right now, so.
And that huge long 8-hour window makes your life difficult,
Yeah.
because it means you just got to stay glued to one spot. And sometimes you can't stay glued to one spot. Things pop up.
I also used to come across clients who didn't value the service we were coming to provide. They were, so what if I have to reschedule? No skin off my back.
I think probably a lot of the customers don't factor in the travel time it takes you as the service to get there, the provider. How do you make sure that you can recoup some of the costs of the travel and time and fuel and everything else? And given the traffic conditions around this area, that could be a big issue.
Right. Rachel?
Another one which I'm having the issue with is, since my husband was the one that reached out, they've been calling him. So I have to wait for him, because they don't say who's the point of contact for this service, because it could be somebody totally different.
Another thing I think might be that there's no cancellation fee or no penalty for them to not show up or be there when you show up.
Was kind of investment. So you're going to call this client and you're going to reschedule. So what kind of obstacles do we see when we're calling to reschedule?
No human caller on the end of the phone call.
Just get the recording.
What about the resistance for rescheduling? Oh, I have to go get my calendar. Oh, I need to talk to my husband. Those are pretty common, right, Ola?
Yeah.
I think maybe when you run into that too, is because they felt pressured to make an appointment in the first place. I think for sales calls, people don't love sales calls lots of times. And so they may just feel like they want to avoid it, which is different than the service thing. But in many cases, there's a front end sales call that's going to nail down the ongoing service. And so at that point, they might just not like sales calls and go, yeah, I'm not even really sure that I want to talk to them about this. So it's that background hesitancy is what I guess I'm trying to say. Oh, I've got a good one. I'm going to have to clean my house before they show up.
Ah,
I can't let somebody in my house until I get things cleaned up.
Sounds like my wife wanting to clean up before the house cleaner comes.
uh-huh.
Oh, exactly. You
Every
have to.
time. Every
Yeah.
time.
That's a necessity.
I think we did pretty well with this. Let's see what ChatGPT says next. All right. What's success look like?
Ooh, the magic wand question.
No cancellations. Everybody's there.
No last minute cancellation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no cancellations because that's unreasonable, but more like cancellations would be dealt with in 5 minutes or something like that.
Cancellations.
Dealt with, meaning
Meaning that they are rescheduled within 5 minutes of them
Okay.
calling. And no shows are under 1%, 0.5%, or something like that.
this was a magic wand.
I
Yeah.
know.
Well, I think to go along with that is that people would reschedule
That
with
rescheduling
enough
is
time.
easier than not doing anything.
And they would cancel or reschedule in plenty of time so that you wouldn't be 2 minutes from their door.
If somebody reschedules a week in advance, if you had service people going out, you would move them to say,
Exactly.
oh, they're not going to go to house A, they're going to go to house B, if you've got enough notice. So, that you need 3 to 5 days lead time on reschedules so that you can adapt.
Like the doctors and dentists, it's always 24 hours.
I'm just thinking plumbing, those could be emergency calls that you get them booked 20 minutes before you're sending somebody out, or it could be like a week before.
And if you're in the service industry, one of the big things with the service industry, in order to level out your revenue streams, is to try to come up with a recurring service you can do for people. So, for example, in a garage door repair company I worked for, we had garage door tune-ups that we would do. So we'd be scheduling people for their tune-up. You're due for your annual tune-up, you had your garage door installed last year, blah, 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 blah. Those were primarily the types of appointments that we struggled with because the client was just kind of, it's just a tune-up, I don't really need it, the door, that kind of stuff. Okay. In addition, those needing to reschedule would be rescheduled within a few minutes instead of having to try over and over to reach the client, resulting in very few missed or not rescheduled appointments. And again, Ola, because you're the one who brought this up to us, do you have anything else you want to add to this? What would waving a magic wand look like?
Actually, based on this is the first time I'm joining your meeting, I brought out the idea. Yeah, and I so much love the aspects you guys are going into. Based on everything, this is exactly what I've been having in mind. Based on my service, I'm facing this last minute cancellation or rescheduling, that's those aspects of it. And I'm happy to just flow along and see how you experts
Okay.
solve that.
I'm just trying to make sure that we're getting everyone's feedback in the group. And again, I'll send you a copy of this when it's done. And you also have the prompt so that you can also run it with your own specific questions. But I think we're touching bases on some really good stuff. And I think this applies to more than just a residential or commercial service. This also applies to those of us that are having regular appointments with clients. We run into this in our field as well.
Yeah.
I like it. Anything else you guys want to add to the magic wand? No?
I will add one thing too, is that doing this in a group kind of shows that people have to think about answering these questions. And in my other group where we go through this, lots of times I just can't get done with the prompt that I'm provided because I want to sit and think about it and put good answers in so that I can get the most out of the AI. And other people are just going, oh, I'm just going to put in this and this, and they just buzz through it really fast. So there are different approaches, I think. I think there's the kind of really think it through as deeply as you can when you move through a prompt, or there's oh, I just want a quick answer and I'm just going to drop something quick in. So just being aware of how you interact with that prompt can make a big difference in what you get.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to add one more. I want happy clients. Happy clients are what make my business grow. So no matter
Happy
what the outcome is.
referral clients.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, ma'am. You're right.
And
Okay.
you know what? The other thing too late to throw it in, but I'll mention, you want your clients to be happy, but you want to be happy with your clients. The other
Ideal
flip
client.
side.
Right.
Yeah.
What is one thing your team or you individually is currently doing that might be unintentionally contributing to the problem? The first thing I'm going to say is not having something in place to remind the client about the upcoming appointment.
Okay. That is a booking system, right? A booking system should actually be in place. Not having a booking system can actually cause that.
Definitely.
A booking system.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say there needs to be an easy to find, easy to use system for clients to book an appointment.
And I would say that it also needs to integrate with whatever system you're using to send out the technicians. That once it's scheduled, it automatically goes over there and says, okay, this one's off, move it here. So it's a live action.
So that integration is what I'm hearing, is that you want an integrated system. Rachel was talking about a way to communicate with people in the field. So there are field management programs that you can tie all of that stuff together with the making of the appointment, the assigning of the technician to the right thing that's going on, where people get tracked via GPS. So you know where your people are if you've got that many people that you were, what do we say, 40 people?
And
So
20.
that means 20. Okay. Nevertheless, but that means you got a number of people in different places going to different appointments. And so having on the front end that reminder system, but within that integrated system, I'm just brainstorming here, that there are integrated systems like that work together.
Okay, what about like the issue is not having a CRM platform?
Not having a CRM platform, a customer relation management
Yeah, like
platform. And there
like
are
go
quite a few
like go
smaller
level.
ones. Yeah.
And I would say that we would
Yeah.
want something that's more middle of the road, that we have the ability to scale. Because that's one thing I know with technology is we might buy what we need, but then we outgrow it very fast. So we would want to work and make sure of that.
Right.
So do we have in here how we're contributing to the problem by not having any quote unquote penalty for no shows
Yeah.
and so on?
Yes.
Yeah.
System needs to be flexible and
Expandable. Yeah. Absolutely.
Does that mean that we might be thinking of a way that when we're talking about systems and we're trying to figure out what the parts might be, does that mean that when someone calls to schedule an appointment, that they put down payment for the service, that they would forfeit if they were not there?
So based on what I'm thinking, yeah, you're actually right. But if the system, we're not talking about system right now, that is, if they should book an appointment, they will drop all their details on the appointment settings calendar. So it will send a reminder to them. It will be like an automation workflow. Do you understand? So it will send a text message of appointment booking to them. They get their calendar notification. It reminds them either a day before the appointment. They get a notification a day before the appointment. And they can also integrate automatic text messages at that particular time.
right.
Yeah, and the payments, based on what I know, it's customer relationship management like Go level supports online payments. So they can either make the payments based on the agreement, like your terms and service agreements. It can be to book a payment, they can have a 50% deposit. Do you understand?
So it's hard to
Yeah.
have them send a deposit in advance. You wonder about integrating that system so that there would be a cancellation fee if they paid a deposit in
Yeah.
advance. But that's not
Yeah.
necessarily industry norm. So if you're asking a client to pay for a cancellation fee or to pay a deposit in advance, then they're going to go, I'm going to go to your competitor because they don't ask me to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just letting you know the platform should actually support that particular aspect of it. So just in case we expand, you understand, like in case of expansion, this platform you want to make use of must actually support all these things that are actually listed. So with that, it can actually be working while you're doing something else. Sense notifications, automations, yeah, that's what I want to add to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
agree.
I'm watching the clock here, so we probably need to.
Keep it moving.
Yep.
Is there anyone else inside or outside the organization that could help solve this more upstream?
Your happy clients.
Probably the boss has to approve any system change. The owner, I call him the boss. If there's somebody higher up in the organization who has the authority to spend the money and to authorize the system,
Right.
that's going to be somebody who's going to have to help in some way, shape, or form. Look at that.
Pretty nice.
Wow.
Clarify the route patterns. Redesign your system for clarity and engagement. See, there's that appointment confirmation, a reminder system. Narrow the service window. Oh, and allow them to self-select time windows in a booking tool. So Rachel could have said anytime between 3 and 5 would work as opposed to an 8-hour window.
Or morning or afternoon to at least limit the time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Pre-visit checklist. I like that. Put your dog away and turn off the water and
Yeah, exactly. That I've gotten reminders from people to say animals must be not in the yard because we're going to come and do something in the yard. We don't want to deal with your animal. I like that soft penalties for no shows. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough for people to go, oh, rats.
Yeah, they've got some kind of investment.
Right.
It's not a big one, but it's something where they're going, oh, I actually have something out here. I've already contributed something.
Right.
I
We
like
have you
the fact
prepaid.
that it's
Maybe
the
too,
fee
you
is waived
offer,
when it's within 24-hour notice.
yeah, you could offer a discount up front, but if somebody cancels without the proper warning, you forfeit that discount or something along those lines. So you're not actually taking something away from them, but they're losing a privilege.
Okay.
Or here's your put $25 down, and then when we're billing you, we take that $25 into account and off of the bill because they prepaid, the quote unquote prepaid by that amount. So they're not losing any money unless they are a no-show.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've done, because we do have penalties for no-shows because we give people 3 reminders and etc. And we do charge them a certain amount of time if they don't. But it's up to us to waive it. And so usually we have a first time you canceled on us 2 minutes before the appointment, and there's a halfway good reason. That's your freebie. We're going to waive the penalty this time. But just it gives us an opportunity then to reiterate that it's really important to show up for your appointment. And the next time we will likely impose that penalty, but it gives you a chance to talk about it in a nice way. So, yeah, we're going to waive the penalty this time. And of course, then we also take into account electrical outages, internet down, sick kid. We have lots of good reasons to waive the penalty, but it gives us a chance to address it.
You put it through the human factor filter, right?
So the next question, is this deliverable chain accurate and seem like steps you could take over the next 4 weeks? This is saying, do you want to make any changes to these steps in the next 4 weeks? And I think they're pretty good. And I'm curious to see if it comes up with anything additional after this. So Are you guys good? Are there any changes to the actions?
Oh, you might see where in week 2 it says choose and test a lightweight booking confirmation tool. And so you might put a concern like, gosh, I don't know if I could do that within the first 2 weeks. Just put that in there and see what happens.
Okay.
Because we're having fun with AI.
Do you mean choosing the booking system cannot be done on week 2?
Yes.
So we're going to tell
Um,
ChatGPT that, yeah, you've laid this set of steps out for us, but I don't think I can do what you want me to do in week 2, which is what Lori is saying now. She's
Within
just
the 2
providing
weeks.
feedback. Yeah, she's providing feedback to ChatGPT to say, okay, that's your suggestion, but
That's too soon.
not
Yeah.
something that I can do.
I'm running a company, flying the plane, and we're fixing the plane at the same time. I can't go explore everything there is to explore on a new application software for my company. So let's see what it comes back with.
okay, let's see. Because I still feel, let's see. Okay.
So it just redid the 4-week action plan.
You
Mhm.
still
And it
have
said
it-
research instead of select.
Yep.
Watch
Yeah.
demos, and then do a test,
Yeah.
and then do
So,
a small test rollout. So it's expanding that
uh,
calendar for you.
yeah, that's for that actually. While you are working on week 1 and week 3, between week 1 to week 3, an expert can set the automated booking calendar up for you while you're working on other things. Or what do you think?
You can play with this. Okay, so here's the idea that we're doing, if I can jump in.
Yes, please.
This is totally dependent upon you. And when ChatGPT gives you suggestions, you might go,
Okay.
no, I don't like this. Fix it, change it. Whatever you want, interact with it as if it was a business associate or a partner and say, yeah, okay, you told me this, but I don't think I can do it in that time give me a new plan. And it will give you a new plan. It'll give you a new way of doing things. So the whole idea behind our doing all these prompts for people is to learn what are all these different ways that you can use AI. So one of my business associates today said he was rebuilding his boat motor and he's out in the boat with his phone and the camera on and asking ChatGPT, okay, so what's the next step? And what's the next step? And ChatGPT is going, oh, okay, I understand this motor and this is what you do. So it's just so versatile and so many different things you can do. So that's my little response here. Yeah.
So now I'm going to lean into ChatGPT a little more.
I would say usability too, Lori.
It usually brings that up, but let's usability. I got stuck on USA. So we're going to lean into this a little more, and we're going to ask it to a simple comparison table for the 3 booking and reminder tools it referenced. And we need to give it a minute to load. So now you don't have to go out and research all this stuff. You can lean into ChatGPT and ask it more questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could even go in a step further and go, what are the first 3 steps I need to do in order to sign up for Jobber? Once I've registered my account, do they have a free trial? Again, you can lean into it, ask more questions of it, and then it's bringing up all the different steps. So pretty cool.
Yeah, you can just keep interacting with it. And I will say that it's addictive because it's interacting between you and your brain, the AI and your brain, and you're just interacting with it. And it's pretty exciting as you're going through that to
Yeah.
just keep getting your questions answered. And you go, I wonder this and I wonder that. And how about this? And what if this? And
Right.
yeah.
And like in this quick notes that it provided after providing the table, the small table representing each of the 3 different programs it had recommended, then it gave us some quick notes that talks about the highlights of each one of those particular. And then I asked it the 3 steps I need to do in order to sign up. Do they have a free trial? And
So
here
those
it's
quick
giving us,
notes were volunteered. AI is helpful and it will volunteer information back. As you're working on something, it'll go, oh, maybe they need to know this.
Right.
Or can I do that? Can I do this next thing for you?
Okay.
So that's AI. That's ChatGPT, and that's what it is. It's about asking the questions and continuing to ask and ask and ask and get all your questions answered. Lots of different ways to do it, but you can keep digging on that same topic, or you can start a new thread and move forward from there. And that's part of what we're trying to teach here and coach here is how to use the AI, how to use ChatGPT to get these answers.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the screen back.
Yes, you are.
Because Lori just illustrated what can happen when you start working inside ChatGPT. The time flies. Because it just does. You'll find that when you start doing it. So give me one moment.
Guys, I am going to share.
I'll tell you what, we've got everybody's emails. So why don't you just copy and paste into Word and then turn it into a PDF and email it to them.
Okay.
Then that way everybody will have the results to look at. The sharing part can be a little tricky sometimes.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we didn't even really touch on, we looked at a common problem, but in spin selling, they really focus on asking a lot of questions and getting to know the potential customer so that you can hear and find out what are the problems and then how does your product or service match up with that. So ultimately it becomes a much easier sale because you're really on the same playing field as your customer, as opposed to just going in and saying, here's our solution. Hi, Mr. Person or Ms. Person. Here's our solution. And I'll show you how great it is. It does this and this and this. And you're just not connecting. There's a lot of that in this book. Again, I'd recommend that you listen to or watch anything you can about it. And we've just done all of our takeaways. So in the AI tips, we're down to about 10 minutes. And I'm going to go through this and then we're going to go talk about the other feature that we're not going to implement and the reasons why. But some of the things, these are just tips from me, from my working pretty deeply in AI. And of course, I've been learning a whole lot more about AI and about really long prompts and what they can do and not do. So that's a whole other story. But in general, I'd like for you guys to consider, are there recurring aspects of your work that you could turn into a prompt and then the next time you do it, AI can do it for you? Okay, because you know how fast it is. So what is it that you're doing on a regular basis? And so I've found 2 or 3 things that I do on a regular basis, and I'm going, oh, I'm just going to save that prompt and use it again. So there's the type of thing that we've been doing has been exploring, but the other way you can use it is to have it do certain tasks, and then you can have it do those over and over again for you. So if you can save even a 10% or 20% reduction in that time that I'm not going to call it waste, but there are repetitive tasks that you have to do over and over again. And you go, okay, I'll just sit here and push my way through this thing that I really don't like doing because I have to do it. Think about whether AI could do it for you and take something off your plate.
So of piping into your house instead of using the old outhouse or pumping the water and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great analogy. I like that. Another thing that we found, can AI help me accomplish something that I wouldn't normally consider doing on my own? And we've run into that 2 or 3 times. I go, oh, I'm just going to go ask it how to do this thing. Whereas before, I might have felt I had to go consult an expert or hire an expert to do something. And the story of my friend using his phone to communicate with AI to fix his boat motor. There you go. Things that you don't even think of, but before you embark down a path, say before you go out and hire an expert, let's see what AI has to say about it. This is something that I'm bringing up today, and I'd like to, as we conclude our series, because we're almost done, there's only a couple more left. How is AI going to impact your future work life? Is part of your work going to disappear? I think you need to think that through. And what parts of what I'll be doing are changing? What kinds of things will AI start being able to do? And we're seeing it now and from the top down, the big companies, they're laying off swaths of people. They've started already. Certain kinds of work, knowledge work is getting their layoffs and or they're just not hiring, and letting normal attribution happening. So I'm not trying to be a fear monger. I just think you ought to be thinking about it and watch the news as different big companies are saying, oh, you have to consider how we would use AI before we ever consider hiring somebody or hiring a consultant. I think a lot of us are safe in a certain range here because a lot of businesses haven't figured out, smaller businesses haven't figured out that they can use AI. So we can use AI to help them. But as smaller businesses start learning what they can get from AI and they actually start using it, it may very well impact our work lives. And then how is it going to change our hiring practices? Do we want to be thinking about different jobs and job descriptions, different positions? One of the things they talked about on a podcast is, oh gosh, maybe there would be an interesting job for somebody to do verification because you can ask AI stuff, but it needs to be verified. And if you're doing something that's big, if you're doing deep research and that type of thing, somebody needs to sit down and verify it. And the point that they made is they said, we do deep research and then we publish things on our website, but we're putting our name behind it. And so we want to make sure that is accurate before we kind of stamp it with our approval. So somebody has to sit down and verify it because AI is not perfect. A lot of stuff that's more, I call it touchy-feely. You can look at it and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That feels good. I like what it's saying. But when you're doing more analytical stuff, like Michael has shown us, I know you have to have verification procedures in place. So you can't just blindly count on it. So when you start hiring, are you going to be requiring people to have some AI skill set? Or are you going to be willing to put them through either training programs or just get them oriented? Are you going to require people to teach each other within the organization? Require may not be a good word, but are you going to encourage as people start learning AI? Because there is no big book in the sky that says, here's how, the only way that you learn a lot of the AI stuff is by doing it. And I'm going through building a pretty large prompt to get a particular thing working. And I've just found out I put about 40 hours in on something that's just went off the rails and isn't working. And the more I try to fix it, the worse it gets. And so I have to back up and start over. And Lori reminded me today, she said, remember when QuickBooks first came out? There was no guide to how to use QuickBooks. You just had to go in and figure it out. And it took quite a while before the QuickBooks for Dummies came out and so on. So really, you just went in and started using it. Go ahead, Michael.
One of the things that was mentioned, I think it was Ron Baker mentioned, that with the different language models, the larger the language model is, the more it hallucinates. So if you need something that's really specific, if you can find a smaller model that deals in that, then you'll get less hallucination.
That's what I'm going to back up and do on this other project that I'm working on is we're going to modularize it so that it's more manageable. Because you start trying to build something really big, then it can break down. Even though I bought 1 month of the Pro because I thought it was a problem by staying in the $20 a month model. And I just wanted to experiment and say, okay, so I've got this big long prompt. What if we put it over in Pro? Is it going to run faster? Is it going to run better? I'm willing to spend $200 to find out. And I found out that no, it didn't help. But sometimes, again, it's an experimentation thing. So I'll cancel it after the month because I just don't need that level of computing power. So it's just, things are just interesting and you just have to keep, and I hate to say have to, but you'll want to continue to experiment and try different things and you'll learn as you go. And even in classes I sit in, it's just all exploring together. We're all learning this new thing. So looking ahead on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, all right, we're back to stay with our schedule. So what kind of threw things a little bit out of whack was the 4th of July. So we took the 4th of July, picked it up and moved it today. And then next week would have been a Tuesday, Friday week, but it's only going to be a Tuesday week. So we're going to be using prompts to draft internal policies. So think policies are not procedures, but we want to be thinking about policies. And I'll do my best to give you a decent prompt. I'm going to jump down to Friday, 7/18, which will be our last one of these sessions. I haven't figured out how and where to go with some of this, but give me a month or so and I'll come up with some ideas, I'm sure. And I have people around me that can come up with good ideas. So that one is going to be on the book. Friday the 18th is going to be on a book called Simple Rules, How to Thrive in a Complex World. If you guys are anything like us, every once in a while we just commiserate with each other and go, oh my gosh, it's just everything's getting so deep and so complicated, and our brains have to try to sort them out. And yeah, so everybody's saying, yeah, that's the case. So hopefully that will help. And then I wanted to discuss ideas today for what we might want to do on the 15th. We're a couple minutes over. If you're able to stay for another couple minutes to maybe brainstorm a few ideas about what prompt do you want me to try to put together? What's something we haven't touched on yet? Rachel, you're having to
Think
leave?
she's
Bye-bye.
Oh, you're
Bye.
having to say
Yes,
goodbye.
okay.
Okay. Michael, do you need to leave or do you have an idea?
I don't need to leave, but I'm trying to think of an idea that we haven't covered. That maybe this will throw somebody into an idea, but I've got from my sister Nancy McClellan, I got this checklist she handed out for a tax-ready books at year end. So I'm going to scan this in, throw it into chat, and have it research how to get it into Financial Sense for tasks. And I wanted to search Financial Sense help on how to do it and to come up with it so I can put it in Excel or a CSV and then upload it into Financial Sense and have it done. And then tweak it from there.
So you would like to see something that helps you do a specific technical process?
Based
That's
on
what
a
I'm
chest?
going to do here. I
You're
thought
gonna
maybe
do
that
that?
might help somebody else go, oh, what about this?
I finally came up with an idea. How about we almost all have to write articles or blog articles, maybe that they're SEO friendly, because I've got a prompt that helps me write a blog article. I'd be willing to share that with you guys. Do enough of you think that writing a blog article would be of value?
Yes, I have a blog project set up and stuff, and I would like to improve that.
Okay. I think most of us who have anything to do with businesses need to get blog articles out, either blog articles or emails out, informative information out to people to brand us as being somebody who can help them and so on. And so I'd be willing to share that prompt that I've just done for myself.
That's a good idea. I wonder too, this is a yes and we could give ChatGPT kind of a list of all the stuff that we've done together and almost prompt it to say, is there anything you think we're missing?
Huh?
Just to see if it would come up with something that here's a topic that you haven't covered that would be worth covering. But I think we
Mhm.
may have to somehow feed it all the different prompts and
Well,
things
I've
we've given in the past, but
I don't think we'd have to give it all the prompts. I think we can
or,
just give it the topics that we covered,
or
the
it
names
might,
of the
yeah,
topics we covered. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I could do that.
I do like the article one because I like to try to at least once a month on LinkedIn put some type of an article that the intent is to position yourself as an expert like in the field. And so
Well,
it brings interest. So it also brings a lot of view to your site.
should I tell them about my project that I've handed off to Shai to implement?
Diane, you have so many projects. You're going to have to be more specific
Okay.
than
All
that.
right. Okay. I developed a prompt where I said, go look at this product, because I have several products. Obviously, you know that. Go look at this product on this page. And I would like for you to write a series of 4 things that we can put in all of the social networks, 4 weeks worth. So on day 1 for LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of the different social networks, because AI knows what kinds of posts should go into each social network. I've gone through, I think 6 or 7 of our products. And so now the whole idea is that every single day we'll be posting something about one of our products in a social network. It wrote it all, and then it's up to Shai to double check it, because she's the one that is going to do the postings. And if it needs to be tweaked or whatever, she'll just throw it back in AI and say, fix this for me. But now we have a schedule where every single day we're hitting every single social network, or at least we will. That was in our Q3 plan that we talked about. So if you guys would like, since the people who are here have been very loyal to coming in, I'm willing to also share that prompt in the background. We probably won't run it, but if you guys would like that, because you just have to keep getting stuff posted all the time.
Does the prompt ask it to edit it or modify it per channel? So, for example, you might have an Instagram
knows.
version or a
It
Facebook
knows.
version. Okay, yeah, that's
It knows to make different links and different tones and etc. So,
okay.
yeah. So
That's
which
cool.
one do you want me to roll out to you next time? Do you want the blog rating one, or do you want the social network one?
I think the social network one sounds attractive to me, but that's my personal
Does
opinion.
but you could make that one also write a blog as well. So yeah.
Yeah, there could be some overlap.
Yep. So I'll probably share both of them with you, but we'll focus on the social network one.
Great.
Sounds like
Cool.
a plan.
Yeah. So thanks for staying over, you guys. So thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Have a great
Thanks.
week, everybody. Talk
You
to you
too.
soon. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.